Hello everyone, my name is Amit Veer and today's webinar topic is practical steps to deploying business processes management successfully. So I look after business development and Vista solutions, and idea is to present you the experiences which we have experienced so far with the BPM implementations all over the world. Okay, so we will start with the presentation. First of all, let me explain you about Vista Solutions. So, what is Vista Solutions? We are a dynamic software company, and we provide world-class business solutions with wide range of enterprises for SMEs and for large enterprises again, which includes BPM, ERP, BI, as well as e-commerce solution and IT solutions to organizations. We have done successful implementations of ERP and BPM solutions all over the world. To just give you a profile introduction with Vista Solutions, we are founded in 2007 and headquartered in US, and in India we have a development center. We have more than 400 software professionals, and we are an ISO certified company. So the solutions which we provide generally are for these industries like manufacturing, healthcare, telecom, wholesale and distribution, professional services, field services, retail and e-commerce. So we provide solution for these industries. Going ahead, the solutions we have on offer as a business solutions are like this. We do consult and we do business analysis before we do any implementation. Also, we help you to provide and facilitate the right product for your business requirement. We can do customization for any of these solutions which we have on offer and tailor made it to your business requirement. We can do third party integration. There can be multiple applications integrated with the software which we're going to implement. And we provide end-to-end implementation services. So right from the business analysis to complete go live of the system, and also after go live we do support. Then we do migration of the services. We do migration of one system or one version to another version, and we do support contract as well. So this is our portfolio as a Vista Solutions. These are some of our clients which we are showing. So you can have a look at the number of clients which we have. So moving ahead, let me tell you. So we'll start with our webinar today. So that's topic is practical steps for deploying business processes management successfully. So let me tell you about business process management first. So this is by definition, business process management is a field in operation management that focuses on improving corporate performance by managing and optimizing companies' business processes. It can therefore be described as process optimization process. So basically, it's a theory. It's a platform wherein you can have your processes defined into the system, and you can automate and then you can enhance those processes using BPM as a solution. So there are multiple BPM solutions in the market today. While implementing these BPM solutions, it is very important to have certain guidelines in our mind. So that is the idea for today's webinar. We will be discussing which are the guidelines which we can use to successfully implement a business process management tool. So when it comes to BPM solution, it is very important to understand the business processes. We'll start with the first and very most important part in implementing a business process management is a strategy. In every organization, the corporate strategy, just a moment. Okay, just give us a moment, please. Okay, so we'll resume our webinar now. So we were on the part where we were discussing about strategy. So very important in business implementation for process any BPM solution is the strategy. So you have to have a top management support. There has to be a strategic alliance and all the governance strategies to be followed in any BPM solution. So always all the business processes of any organization are dependent on the corporate strategies. And these corporate strategies are at the high level from the top management which are applied and at the management level as well. So all the people who are associated in that business process are aligned to this business strategy. So there is a clear linkage between corporate strategy and business processes. So while implementing a BPM solution, we have to understand these factors. So this becomes very important at this point. And to give you an example, see there are strategies at a top management level, but at a management level, managers always look for tactical solutions for short term, but long term objectives are always forgotten because they want to perform certain tasks on a daily basis and which they give a priority over the company objectives. So that is why it is important to consider these long-term objective as well while implementing a BPM solution. Therefore, the role of a top management is very important over here. So they understand the business strategy at the top management level and also at the management level. They will have to understand that, and there has to be sync between these two. So while implementing a business process management, so there has to be a strategy planning from the all the hierarchy level people in the organization. So that becomes very then we can move on to the next part, which is people who are involved in that business process management. So the because as I mentioned about the top management, CEO is always has to be informed about the development which are happening in the business process management. It's not only CEO, but there are other people who can be leader in terms of implementing or deploying business process management. That leader not necessarily be an CEO of the company, but any person who is having attention, support, funding, commitment, and time for this kind of a project. So it becomes very important from the perspective of deploying a business process management tool to consider the people and their roles and their responsibilities which are there while implementing this. There is very important factor. Also, the project managers is also very important in case of deploying a business process management. The leader, he's a leader of the project team, and he has to have some skills like people change management and stakeholder change management, because the project manager is a person who is involved in day-to-day activities with the team who are doing transaction into the system, and also there are with the top management who is doing strategic decisions. So there has to be a sync between the strategy and the transactions which are happening, which is daily operations. So the role of a project manager becomes very important and very critical in while deploying business process management. So then we will move on to the next point, optimization and process management. So while implementing a business process management, the process improvement is very important. There are some of the critical processes in business operations which has to be optimized. So you will have to retrospect all the business processes which are there And also there can be some cross-functional linking also is possible. There are multiple processes which are happening in any organization at any given point of time. So all these business processes will have to be reviewed thoroughly, and their business processes will involve continuous monitoring, evaluation, measurement in terms of cost, quality, and time. Also, there has to be an innovation in terms of the processes. New processes will be innovated, will be introduced. The current processes will be retrospected. We will have to see it whether we can enhance certain processes. And once we enhance, that enhancement has to be deployed correctively in case of processes optimizations. So there are various features which are available in all the BPM tools. We will have to again review all these features to successfully deploy a business process management solution. So while deploying, you have to retrospect your business processes which are currently there, and we side by side you will have to see how you can improve on those processes, and there can be cross-linking of these processes. Multiple processes are there. One process can help another process, which one of the process can be an intermediate process of any of the other business process, which will help to enhance that workflow rather than having it defined again into the system. So it becomes very critical to retrospect all the business processes and retrospect what is there in the BPM tool which you have chosen, and the methodologies which are there into it. And it's all about change management again. So while deploying a business process management, you will have to go through all these parameters to successfully implement those. Then the fourth point which I would like to consider over here is the process architecture. The role of a process architecture in a structural design of a general process systems applies to fields such as computer, software, hardware, network, etc. And all the business processes again, which includes enterprise architecture, policy and procedures, logistics, project management, etc. And any other process systems varying degree of complexity is very important. So while doing a business process implementation, we will have to understand the business modeling as well, the process modeling. So how is the process currently you have, whether you will have to see whether those processes have been followed regularly. It's all about change management actually, because there are a lot of companies we have seen, they have certain processes in place, but people are not following those processes. So it becomes very critical at point of deploying any business process automation tool to have your current processes being followed, and then the BPM tool can be introduced. So it becomes very critical at this transition phase to have people, all the people make entry into the system, and then have a BPM solution introduced. So you will have to model all of the processes in the organization and align them in a objective towards the company goals which are defined into the organization. So there has to be process modeling also. Also everyone have to follow the processes, otherwise the project will fail, because um, you're not getting the correct data into the system, and also the you will not be able to evaluate the effectiveness of that deployment if everybody is not following that process. So as per we have seen a lot of organizations have processes, but people are not any which way following all these processes. So while implementing any BPM solution, it becomes critical to have align people aligned to that process, and make them use of those processes, and then introduce the application, right? So moving ahead, the fifth more critical part while implementing a BPM solution is an IT infrastructure, the information technology bit, and the BPM suite features of it. So there are two points to be considered over here: the information part of it and the BPM part of it. So in the information technology part does not restrict or does not necessarily mean your IT infrastructure. It could be anything. So consider an example. You have a company uh, where you are implementing a BPM solution, which is not an IT company. So it becomes very important to have their IT infrastructure in place before deploying any BPM solution for them. Also, it is a role of the IT manager who is in charge over there to understand the business requirement. So the IT infrastructure has to be the guy who is involved in this project for BPM implementation will have to understand the business side of this implementation as well, and not only the IT part of it. So there will be some instances where you will have to integrate with multiple business solutions like ERP or maybe an CRM uh, with the BPM solution. So while integrating with those, you will have to consider what is the kind of architecture you want to deploy, so that in the near future, when with your current strength and with your future requirement, it all meets those requirements. Also, it has to be scalable enough for your future requirements as well. For any BPM solution to work successfully and to be implemented successfully, you will have to have your current requirement aligned with your IT infrastructure as well as your future requirements. Today, you may have like 25 users on it. Tomorrow, if you're going to have 500 users on the same system, so it has to be scalable enough with the same efficiency again. So the IT manager, you will have to be very critical, will have to play a critical role over here to understand the future requirement, and based on that the IT infrastructure will be uh, deployed. The BPM solution has multiple features which enables them to integrate with multiple applications as well. So those requirements will have to be again considered while implementing uh, a business process management, which plays a very critical role while implementing that. So moving on to the sixth point, which is project management. So for any BPM solution, there will be like multiple vendors involved for the entire project. There can be some people involved from the IT team, and there is a organization who is deploying that project management. It could be an internal team as well. So while deploying a project management, while deploying a business process management tool, the role of a project manager plays a very critical role. So starting from the project planning, so there has to be a planning from the front. Once you have all the strategies and the requirements from all of the business stakeholders who are involved in the business processes, so you will have to so the idea is that when we as a Vista solution implement any BPM tool, we what we do is we review the business requirement, and then all these business requirements are then again being reviewed again with the team members who are doing actual transaction in the systems. So it becomes very important at that point of time. Why? Because all the requirements generally comes from a top management. So they always look at the company objective, but there are some issues at the transactional level which will have to be again considered. So it becomes very important to plan the project accordingly while doing any BPM deployment. So the next point is the project execution. So there are multiple people who are involved in the project for deploying the BPM solution, like project manager. Then you have your uh, team leaders. Then you have project developers, and then there is a QA. So while executing any BPM solution, you will have to go through certain processes. So it starts with like the development will start. So it has to start from, there are two ways for any development which you can do in a BPM solution. One is the waterfall method, and one is second one is agile development methodology. So with waterfall method, you are actually doing the implementation for the entire organization with the entire scope at one go, and in the second option, which is agile development methodology. You are doing this implementation in phase wise. So you consider one requirement, you develop the application, and then you deploy it. So it is very, we as a business solution always recommend for an agile development methodology. Why? Because it makes, so at the time of implementation, there are a lot of things, lot of requirements which will keep on changing, because we believe that the requirement which comes from the management level and from the transactional people are always different. So that is the reason, while deploying with the agile development methodology, you can encounter these differences and can be again factored in into the project. So that is why it is very important to have an agile development methodology while implementing a BPM solution. So we can go phase wise in that. So let's consider an example of a BPM solution for any large organization. So for one department, we can have one of the processes automated and would be deployed at their end. They will have it tested, we will have it tested, and then again it will go live. People will start using it, and then other people, then we will take the next requirement bit, and that will be deployed, which will be in a succession of the previous requirement. That is how the execution of the BPM project happens. Then moving ahead, the project controlling part of it. While doing a BPM implementation, it is very important to control the entire implementation from a project management perspective. Why? Because while see, there are multiple phases of any execution of any project. So while go live phase, there are various factors which may result in the deviation from the project scope and also the timelines. So the controlling from the perspective of timelines as well as the efforts which are there in the project is in the hands of project manager. So it is very important role which he plays at the time of controlling the entire project management. So from considering all these factors, the project management at any given point of time plays a very important role while successfully deploying any BPM solution. Moving ahead, standards of measurements and measurement techniques. So there are various performance measurements which are available in a BPM tool. So we will have to be implementing all these measurement tools. See, consider an example where we are deploying a solution to enhance certain processes, which will result in a performance enhancement of those employees. So in that case, it becomes very critical to measure that performance. Otherwise, it makes no sense. So that is why there are performance measures to be implemented while deploying any BPM solution. So these performance measures could be anything. There are various multi measurement techniques available in BPM solution. Some of them are can be deployed from the solution itself. Some of them can be from an ERP perspective. Some of them will have a BI role into it. Some of the measurement techniques, consider, I'll give you a simple example over here. When you have to enhance a measure performance of an employee, so the current, if he is doing like 5 processes in a day, and if you after implementing a BPM solution, you want him to complete 7 processes. So over here, the standard of performance was like 5 business processes, and while after implementing a BPM solution, it went up to 7. So these kind of measurement, simple measurement techniques can be deployed while doing a business process implementation successfully. Otherwise, you will not be able to measure the effectiveness of a BPM solution deployment. That is why it is very critical to have certain measurement criterias deployed while deploying any BPM solution. And at the end, it is very important to evaluate how the implementation has been deployed, how successful the implementation has been. which will you will have to uh, then again review the efficiency of the processes, how effectively the efficiency of people, how effectively the efficiency of the system has been enhanced with the new BPM solution. So the quality of the quality of the processes, how it has increased. So they at any deployment, while while you retrospect how you have successfully implemented a BPM solution, you will have to again review the quality of the implementation. So earlier, this was the quality of the people, how it has enhanced to certain level after implementation of a BPM solution, and at the last, the agility of the BPM solution. Obviously, agility becomes very important because all of the business processes will keep on changing uh, as and when business requirements change, as and when direction from the top management changes, as and when there are changes in the goals of the organization, the processes will again be changed in all the organizations. So it becomes very critical at the time of deploying a BPM solution to have agile processes, considering your future requirements. Maybe it has to be implemented in such a way that tomorrow, if there is any change in the process, you will be easily able to deploy that change into the business process, rather than reinventing the wheel again and do the development again from the scratch. So the deployment has to be in a way agile method, which will help your feature requirement as well. So uh, this is the last slide which I'm showing you right now, which summarizes the entire discussion which we had now. So there are critical factors while deploying a business process management successfully, which are such as strategy, standards and measures, optimization and process management, project management, people who are involved in that implementation, the process architecture again, and the IT architecture. And all of these again, all these success factors can be evaluated with the success measures such as process efficiency, quality, and agility of this implementation. So that's it, folks. If you have any questions, you can raise it now. If you also you can send us an email on sales@businesssolutions.com, and you can send us an email. You can send me an email on amit.ver@bestasolutions again. So, do you have any questions right now? I can give you a minute to raise any question right now. Okay, thank you. You can send us an email if you have any queries later. Thank you so much. Thank you for attending this webinar.